Hello and welcome to all of our viewers from around the world. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC here at Gold. And today I'm very excited. I have a special guest with me here today. I'm chatting today with Professor David Grattan about the upcoming presentation here at Gold. Welcome, David.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to have you here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
So you are part of our Gold Learning Day, elevating our expertise on lactation, physiology, and endocrinology. It's a great topic. Can't wait for that. That will happen in January here in just a little bit. But before we talk about your specific topic here of the Learning Day, tell us a little bit about yourself. First of all, where in the world are you?
Yeah, so I'm a New Zealander, and I'm based at the University of Otago in Dunedin, which is in the South Island of New Zealand. So pretty much as far from anywhere as you can be.
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. What a beautiful place to be in the world. I always love this about our conferences and events because we have speakers and participants from all around the globe. And it's just lovely to be able to connect with experts in the field, from wherever they are. It's just beautiful. So let's also talk about your background. You have quite an impressive background. As you mentioned, you're a professor there, and you have won numerous awards and prizes for your work and research. So tell us a little bit about your professional journey here.
Yeah, okay. I started off as a PhD student studying endocrinology, so I was interested in basically in hormones.
Mhm.
And particularly focused on the hormone prolactin, which will be familiar to all of the attendees here who are interested in lactation. And my main focus was on how does prolactin go up in pregnancy and lactation to facilitate milk production. And I guess from being that focus on hormones, as a postdoctoral fellow, I moved to the US and worked for several years in a neuroscience lab
Hmm.
where we were mostly interested in how the brain is controlling hormone secretion from the pituitary gland. Um, and then in the mid 90s, I moved back to New Zealand and took a job here at the medical school in Dunedin at the University of Otago. And my focus sort of ended up turning around because while I started off being interested in how the brain controls the hormones, I started getting really interested in how the hormones are influencing the brain. And the main step was that I kind of discovered or rediscovered, along with some of my colleagues, the fact that there are receptors for these hormones in lots of different places in the brain. And I was really interested in, well, why does the brain need to see all of these hormones and what are the hormones doing in the brain? And that's really what I've been the focus of my work for the last 20 years or so.
Oh, that's absolutely fascinating. I love how you have that. You kind of reverse this going like, okay, let's see what this does to the brain, not only what the brain, does with regards to hormones, but like, and coming full circle. So in your decades now, I can say of research, you must have really seen like a huge development, right? I mean, of new information that we didn't have before. And I mean, there must be some quite mind-blowing knowledge coming your way in your research. Is there anything that stood particularly out to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I 100% agree with your statement. Over the 25 years or so that I've been doing research in this field, there's just been an explosion of knowledge, and in particular in neuroscience, an explosion of new ways to study the brain and study the way that the brain works. And I hope I'll be able to get some of this excitement across to the audience because for me, it's a little bit like science fiction. When I think about where I started
Uh-huh.
and the idea that we could be studying neurons in the brain of a conscious animal while they're behaving, while they're lactating, while they're feeding their pups, and look at what their brain is doing. When I started, that was completely science fiction,
It's amazing.
and now we're doing it. We're actually able to do that and look at that activity. And so it has been an incredibly exciting time as the tools have developed and we can start to answer the questions. The other place that is incredible development is in genetics and the way we can now look at single cells in the brain and tell us what genes are being expressed and what things are turned on. So there's a whole lot of stuff that I will try to bring, you know, some of that excitement to the audience, but hopefully be able to explain, you know, how we'll learn that information and what new insights we've gained.
Absolutely exciting. I can't wait for this. Let's talk a little bit about your presentation now in more detail. Your title is More Than Just the Milk-Making Hormone, the latest on prolactin and its impact on pregnancy and lactation. Yes, we know the prolactin as typically known as the milk-making hormone, but there seems to be so much more to it, right? So tell us a
Right.
little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's multiple ways to think about it, but I guess for us, the key trigger of thinking more widely about prolactin was the identification that, you know, if you look for prolactin receptors in the body, they're in the mammary gland where they're involved in making milk. But they're also in many other tissues. They're in the beta cells of the pancreas. They're in the intestinal epithelial cells of the gut. They're in skin. They're in sweat glands. So we started thinking, well, what are all those other tissues doing when prolactin is high, for example, in lactation? And in my area in particular, we found them lots of different places in the brain. And so we've now, you know, I guess when I started out, we were thinking of prolactin as a really amazing hormone because it has lots of different functions, lots of different potential functions. And the way I've been thinking about it is that maybe all of those functions are about supporting lactation, so that not only have to make milk when you are lactating, but because it's metabolically demanding, you have to eat more. Your behavior changes, your mood changes. And so all of those things have to happen in a coordinated way for the system to work properly. And so what is that coordinating factor? And our idea is that prolactin is that coordinating factor. So when suckling occurs, prolactin goes up, you make milk, but at the same time, all of your other physiology is kind of adapting to make sure that that happens in the best possible way. So what I hope you'll get from my talk is, you know, is a real sense that biology is amazing,
Yes.
and these hormones that are changing during pregnancy and during lactation are coordinating that biology so that it works in the best way that it possibly can. And I think when you start thinking about it like that, it becomes, you know, you understand more than why is this process so incredible? Why is this process so important at establishing the right relationships between the mum and the baby, but also the mother's health and the baby's health are all tied into the being able to coordinate this physiology, and that's what the hormones are doing.
That's
So
absolutely
yeah, it's a
fascinating.
topic I really like.
Oh, I can tell you are very passionate about it. It really speaks, you know, the way you explain it is absolutely brilliant. I wish I had professors like you in my time to learn this. It's absolutely beautiful there. I can't wait for that. It's so fascinating, and I know our viewers will really appreciate all the knowledge you're bringing here to us, and they are just excited as I am to learn from you on the day. Now, you mentioned something that was really stood out to me, that when you started out and now what you're doing now seems like total science fiction. So what do you see for the future, if that's even possible? But where do you see some kind of developments where we're heading now, and maybe what is possible in 20 years from now?
Yeah, it's hard to predict. I'm a great believer that understanding biology is the way to solving
Yep.
medical problems. Like we often want to shortcut it and think, oh, you know, do we have a drug for this? And history says that when we try to shortcut things and use a drug that we don't actually understand how it works, then it doesn't generally work. It ends up with side effects or whatever. And you know, I'm really driven by the idea that if we can understand the biology, we can solve problems. And pregnancy and lactation is a really interesting in that it doesn't always go perfectly. You know,
Right.
we trust our biology to make it work, and yet in a significant number of women, they experience problems, whether it's, you know, gestational diabetes or preeclampsia or preterm birth, or, you know, so many things can go wrong. Hopefully don't, but can.
Right.
And at the moment, we really just don't have a way of predicting that, and we don't have very many good ways of fixing the problems when they occur. So we deal with the problems, we react to the problems. And I'm hoping that if we understand the biology better, we can start foreseeing the problems and start preventing the problems. And so rather than cross our fingers and hope and rely on people like yourself, the midwives, to come in and rescue, which is an incredible process that many of you, the audience, will be involved in. And as a father of several children, I've seen it firsthand. The help that it has provided. But if science can actually provide us with mechanisms to identify problems before they happen, and then have actual, science-based solutions, I feel like, this is one of the most important processes that we go through as a species. So, we should be getting it right. And at the moment, I feel there's not enough research in understanding that, and certainly not enough options to help when things don't go as they should.
And that's why we need you. That's why we need you and your team to do all this wonderful research. So thank you so much for the amazing work you're doing there in your labs and with your team, and putting all this information out there so all of us can learn and get excited about it and learn more and bring this evidence-based information into our practice. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. I'm looking forward to giving the presentation.
And we're looking forward to and thank you for being here today with us as well. And this is now some little information for our viewers here. If you're really excited now about this presentation, as excited as I am, you'll find more information about this presentation and the other two presentations of the Gold Learning Day at goldlearning.com. There you'll find information about when it is held and more information about our speakers and the topics. And we hope to see you at the Gold Learning Day in January. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Bye-bye, everyone.